Yak 38.
Aww. Poor guy.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy, you did a mistake, buddy. Oh, he's
Hey,
going.
buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Never mind.
G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're having a look at SRAAMs. SRAAMs have become quite the topic of discussion of late with the introduction of the Harrier GR1. The Harrier GR1 carries 4 SRAAM missiles. They have an effective range of about 1.4 kilometers, and they have around 20 Gs pull. Now, these aren't new missiles, they've been in the game now for quite a while. On the Harrier Mark 6, when they were first introduced, they also caused a lot of headache for people, and then over time people got used to them and they sort of died down. Since then they've again been reintroduced, as I just said, and the topic again is coming up that the Harrier is invincible with the SRAAM. The SRAAM is too fast. It can't be dodged. The Harrier jump jet should now be 10.7 because it's a 10.7 missile. And I'm a strong believer that it's not. And I'm also a strong believer that people can learn how to counter this missile. In which case this missile is always going to be very, very effective, and it's always going to be dangerous. It's also going to be one of the easiest missiles to use. It's quite forgiving because it has that secondary large circle which allows it to maintain a lock for longer, which can help you compensate for a poor roll or a slow turn, because the Harrier in a lot of situations is actually quite a poor turner. So it lets you compensate if you've misjudged or the enemy's juked you in such a way that you need to respond, in which cases other times you would have lost contact. But let's have a look at how to counter the SRAAM. So the first trick would be speed. Speed on the SRAAM, it can be defeated. So let's have a look at speed. The Harrier jump jet is subsonic, and most of the aircraft it faces are also subsonic, and one of the very few exceptions to that rule is the Lightning, and that is also on the British tree. So if you're in realistic battles, then the likelihood that you'll be facing those anyway is quite low. So any other subsonics? Well, the F100, I think a lot of people would argue isn't subsonic, even though isn't supersonic, even though it does have afterburner and it can achieve supersonic speeds, but it's not easy, and it's not generally practical to assume that. But using that speed, you can avoid an SRAAM. Now, if you are doing around 800, 900 plus kilometers an hour in a straight line at 1.4 kilometers, you will outrun an SRAAM. And at high speeds, verging on supersonic or above, you need to be at least a kilometer from the enemy to be able to hit them, because supersonics, or people on the verge of supersonic, will outrun an SRAAM in a straight line. This is the first thing that I see people do. If you have a look in these two examples here, we have an F100D. This thing is probably subsonic, but he's high speed and he's high energy, and even at 1.4 kilometers or below, he outran the missile. Here's an F86. It is definitely subsonic, and within 1.4 kilometers, he still outruns the missile. So if you have a look at those examples there, this is just 2 of them. Speed can save your life. Don't automatically assume that you have to turn. I know it becomes instinct after facing other missiles, but the SRAAM is different. You need to remember speed will save your life. Right, so the next aspect, the environment. In most cases, you might be used to using clouds to help break missile, to prevent the enemy from getting a missile lock. In this situation, I'm showing how the sun can be your best friend as well. Here I had solid locks on the Harrier, the American Harrier, and because he's flying towards the sun, I can't maintain a missile lock on him. The sun is the dominant source of heat in this situation, and it has stolen the ability to track the Harrier. In this particular situation, the same thing's going to happen. I lose track on the Harrier. Now, this becomes a double situation here. I have to move out away for the sun to disengage the lock, and then re-engage the Harrier. But then the Harrier goes into a multi-directional turn. Now this is important because, as you can see here, the enemy is not only banking a hard left or a hard right, which is an easy to predict direction or path prediction for the missile to track and lead, but this person's moving in all directions at once, using the X, the Y, and the Z axis. He changes, he drops in altitude, he turns left, and he also closes the distance a bit. He sort of turns in. So the three different directions can easily confuse an SRAAM. So to try and sum it up, the SRAAM is not invincible. It has its limitations. And those limitations are its short range and its ability to be tricked by the environment and the sun, and also by adding some depth to your maneuvers. Don't just do a hard left or right bank. Move in the X, the Y, and the Z, and that missile really struggles to predict 3 dimensions of travel. And as you saw in the video, hopefully a lot of shots can be avoided, a lot of hits can be avoided from an SRAAM just by simply making some minor adjustments to how you maneuver. So I'm hoping that gives you something to think about, and you can go and try it out. I'm noticing a lot more people every time I use this plane learning and getting better at dodging the SRAAM missile. Just 3 of those misses were for one single battle. So it's not impossible, and I'm hoping this gives you some confidence to try it out, and don't give up on it. You can do it. You can do it. Regardless of what jet you're in, you can survive an SRAAM. So I hope that this has been informative, and if you have anything to add, do chuck it down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe.